Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to dive into a story that's both heartbreaking and inspiring. The rise and fall of Greenwood,
Yeah,
the community known as Black Wall Street.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
imagine a thriving business district just bustling with activity, only to be reduced to ashes in a matter of hours.
Oh, wow.
That's what happened during the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Right.
But before we kind of delve into the tragedy of the massacre itself, let's rewind the tape
Okay.
and explore how this incredible community came to be in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We've got a stack of fascinating sources for this one, and I think
Right.
you're going to find this deep dive truly eye-opening.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
What I think is so fascinating is how Greenwood's story challenges the common narrative about Black communities
Mm-hmm.
in the early 20th century. It wasn't just about survival.
Right.
This is about economic innovation and a determination to create a better future.
That's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
The forces that allowed Greenwood to not only exist, but to thrive.
Mm.
Our sources kind of paint a picture of Oklahoma in the early 1900s
Okay.
as this land of opportunity for Black people, almost like a promised land.
Yeah, Oklahoma was often seen as the Eden of the West
Wow.
for Black folks fleeing the brutal realities of Jim Crow in the South.
Yeah.
Imagine escaping a system that's designed to keep you down, constantly facing humiliation and threat.
Mhm.
Oklahoma offered a chance for land ownership, a chance to build a life with dignity and autonomy.
And it wasn't just a dream.
Right.
There's this incredible link to Native American history that made land ownership a reality for many Black settlers.
Exactly. The Dawes Act of 1905, which allotted land to Native American tribal members,
Okay.
actually opened up a pathway for Black people with Native American heritage to acquire land.
Oh, wow.
And one prominent figure was A.G.W. Sango,
Okay.
a Black member of the Creek tribe.
Uh-huh.
He had 160 acres thanks to the Dawes Act,
Wow.
and actively encouraged other Black people to join him, promising a better life.
Wow. So we've got this influx of Black settlers
Yeah.
fueled by this promise of land ownership.
Right.
And that's the foundation upon which Greenwood is built.
Precisely. And it wasn't just about individual success either.
Okay.
There was a strong emphasis on community and collective uplift.
Gotcha.
The story of O.W. Gurley, who founded the People's Grocery Store in 1905, is a perfect example.
Right.
That one store became a catalyst,
Uh-huh.
sparking a wave of Black-owned businesses that sprang up around it.
So it was almost like a domino effect, one
Yeah.
success leading to another.
Exactly.
And I'm picturing this bustling district with shops, homes, churches,
Yeah.
all coming together to create like a self-contained world.
You're spot on. By 1914, Greenwood was home to between 5,000 to 6,000 residents.
Wow.
A vibrant community where Black dollars circulated within, creating a cycle of economic empowerment.
Mhm.
They had everything from doctors and lawyers to restaurants and theaters.
Wow.
It was a testament to the entrepreneurial spirit and the deep-rooted belief in community.
This wasn't just survival. This was about thriving.
Right.
Our sources mention places like Susie Bell's Cafe,
Mm-hmm.
famous for its soul food, and the Dreamland Theater,
Oh, cool.
where you can catch the latest films. It
Nice.
sounds like a place buzzing with life and culture.
And it was
Yeah.
Greenwood pulsed with the rhythms of ragtime,
Oh, wow.
a musical genre that was taking the nation by storm.
Really?
Think of it as the soundtrack of this burgeoning community.
Okay.
Places like the Zulu Lounge offered after-hours entertainment,
Okay.
serving chalk beer,
Choppy beer.
a potent concoction disguised as grapefruit juice.
Oh, wow.
Greenwood was a place where you can find everything you needed within a few blocks,
Wow.
a testament to Black ingenuity and self-reliance.
It's incredible to imagine this world within a world,
Yeah.
a community that defied the limitations imposed by a segregated society.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, this period of prosperity was tragically cut short.
And that's where the story takes a darker turn.
Uh-huh.
As Greenwood prospered, it inadvertently sparked resentment and fear among some segments of white Tulsa.
Oh, no?
They saw Black success and social mobility as a threat to the established order.
So it wasn't just about economics.
No.
It was about power and control.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sensing a clash of ideologies,
Right.
like a fundamental disagreement about the place of Black people in society.
Exactly. And this is where the role of the local media becomes crucial.
Yeah.
The Tulsa Tribune, owned by Richard Lloyd Jones, actively fueled racial tensions.
Oh, wow.
They portrayed Greenwood as a den of vice,
Uh-huh.
painting a picture of a lawless and dangerous community.
Really?
This type of rhetoric played a dangerous role in shaping public perception.
Yeah.
And ultimately set the stage for the violence that was to come.
It's a chilling example of how the media can be used to demonize and dehumanize entire communities, paving the way for violence and oppression. And it's important to remember that this was happening during a period of intense racial unrest across the nation.
You're absolutely right. The Tulsa Race Massacre was not an isolated incident.
Right.
It was part of a much larger wave of racial violence that swept across America in the aftermath of World War I.
Oh, wow.
A period known as the Red Summer of 1919.
Huh?
Black soldiers who had fought for democracy abroad returned home to face increased violence and discrimination.
What a tragic irony.
Yeah.
Fighting for freedom overseas, only to be denied basic human rights in their own country.
This contradiction fueled a growing sense of frustration and anger in Black communities, but it also sparked a backlash from those who were determined to maintain white supremacy.
Right.
The Red Summer saw over 50 race riots and massacres erupt across the country,
Oh, my gosh.
from Chicago to Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Tulsa, with its burgeoning Black Wall Street, was a powder keg waiting to explode.
So we had this backdrop of racial tension fueled by economic resentment and media propaganda.
Right.
What was the spark that ignited the blaze in Tulsa? What was the incident that set this tragedy in motion?
It all started with a young Black shoeshiner named Dick Rowland
Right.
and a white elevator attendant named Sarah Page.
Okay.
There was an incident in an elevator.
Okay.
The details are murky, but Sarah Page screamed and Rowland fled the scene.
Oh.
He was later arrested on a trumped-up charge of attempted assault.
Oh, no. And I bet the Tulsa Tribune had a field day with this.
You guessed it.
Yeah.
They published a sensationalized article that further inflamed racial tensions.
Wow.
Their reporting essentially painted Rowland as a dangerous predator preying on a vulnerable white woman.
This is where the story takes a truly horrifying turn.
Yes.
What happened next?
Well, on the evening of May 31st, a mob of up to 1,000 white people marched to the Tulsa County Jail intent on lynching Dick Rowland.
It's chilling to think about the level of hatred and bloodlust that must have driven them.
Yeah.
Did anyone try to stop them?
Yes, a group of about 75 armed Black men.
Okay.
Many of them World War I veterans also went to the jail to defend Rowland.
Wow.
They refused to let another Black man be lynched.
So it was a standoff.
Yeah.
A clash between those who wanted to uphold the law and those who were determined to take it into their own hands.
Exactly. There was a confrontation. A shot was fired and the situation spiraled out of control.
What happened next?
Well, white mobs, fueled by anger and armed with stolen weapons, descended upon Greenwood.
Oh, no.
The early hours of June 1st marked a turning point.
Okay.
A white mob estimated at 5,000 strong
5,000.
invaded Greenwood armed with guns, kerosene, and torches.
This is the moment the massacre truly begins.
It was a scene of unimaginable violence and destruction.
Wow.
Over the next 36 hours, they systematically destroyed the community, burning homes, businesses, churches, everything.
Oh, my God.
Eyewitness accounts describe scenes of terror,
Yeah.
with residents fleeing for their lives as their community was engulfed in flames.
Wow.
They even used private airplanes to drop incendiary devices on Greenwood,
Airplanes.
raining fire from the sky.
That's a level of calculated destruction that's hard to comprehend.
It was.
It wasn't just mob violence? Right.
It was a coordinated assault.
It was a horrific display of racial hatred
Yeah.
and a brutal attempt to eradicate a thriving Black community.
What happened in the aftermath of this horrific event?
The official death toll was estimated at 36,
Okay.
but historians believe the real number is likely much higher,
Oh,
possibly as many as 300.
gosh.
The destruction was catastrophic.
Yeah.
Over 10,000 Black residents were left homeless.
Oh, my gosh.
Greenwood, once a shining symbol of Black success, was reduced to smoldering ruins.
It's difficult to even fathom the scale of the loss,
Yeah.
both in terms of human life and in the destruction of a community that had worked so hard to build a better future. But even in the face of such devastating loss, our sources describe an incredible spirit of resilience among the people of Greenwood.
Right.
Can you tell us more about how they responded to this tragedy? What happened next?
It's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of being crushed by the weight of this tragedy,
Right.
the people of Greenwood found the strength to rebuild.
It speaks volumes about their character, their determination, and their unwavering belief in their community.
But I imagine rebuilding wasn't easy. They had lost everything, their homes, their businesses, their sense of security.
Right.
What obstacles did they face
Yeah.
in trying to piece their lives back together?
The challenges were immense. beyond the physical and emotional trauma.
Yeah.
They had to contend with a system that seemed determined to erase their very existence.
Oh, wow.
There was intense pressure from city officials and developers to seize valuable land in Greenwood.
Really?
They proposed plans to relocate residents and redevelop the area, effectively erasing any trace of what had been there before.
It's heartbreaking to think that even after experiencing such a horrific attack, the community had to fight to hold on to their land and their history.
Right.
That almost feels like a second wave of violence.
Yeah.
A more insidious attempt to erase their presence entirely.
You're absolutely right. It highlights the insidious nature of systemic racism and the ways in which it operates on multiple levels.
Wow.
It wasn't enough to destroy their physical community.
Right.
There was a concerted effort to erase their memory, to deny them their rightful place in history.
But they didn't give up, did they?
They did not.
They weren't about to let that happen.
Right.
What did they do to resist these attempts to displace them?
They fought back with incredible tenacity. They refused to sell their property. They organized protests.
Wow.
They sought legal assistance from organizations like the NAACP.
Oh, wow.
Their determination paid off. Within a year, hundreds of structures had been rebuilt.
Really?
By 1925, Greenwood was back on its feet, even hosting the National Negro Business League's annual conference.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
The National Negro Business League meeting in Greenwood just a few years after the massacre.
I know.
It's a symbol of defiance, a statement to the world that they were not broken, that they would not be silenced.
It speaks volumes about their spirit and their commitment to rebuilding. But it's also important to remember that the Greenwood that emerged from the ashes was not the same as the one that had been destroyed.
Right.
The massacre left deep scars, both physical and psychological.
I imagine there was a sense of vulnerability, a lingering fear that it could all happen again.
Absolutely. And that fear wasn't unfounded.
Yeah.
There was a constant tension and knowledge that their existence was precarious, that they were always at risk.
So they entered this second act, this period of rebuilding and resilience.
Right.
What can our sources tell us about Greenwood's journey through the decades that followed?
Okay.
Did the community manage to regain its economic footing?
Yeah.
Did it recapture its vibrant cultural scene?
Greenwood went through a fascinating evolution in the 1920s during the Jazz Age.
Yeah.
It experienced a resurgence of cultural vibrancy.
Really?
It became a stop on the Chitlin Circuit, a network of venues across the segregated South that hosted Black musicians and entertainers.
Wow, I had no idea. Greenwood was such a musical hub.
Yeah.
That's a side of the story I hadn't really considered. It adds another layer of complexity to this community, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there's a capacity for joy, for creativity, for the celebration of life.
It speaks to the indomitable spirit of Greenwood.
Yeah.
They refused to let the tragedy define them. They found ways to celebrate their heritage, their resilience, and their unwavering hope for a better future.
But I'm sure they faced new challenges as the decades rolled on.
Yes.
The Great Depression, World War II, the Civil Rights Movement. These were all transformative events that must have impacted Greenwood in profound ways.
You're absolutely right. Greenwood, like the rest of the nation, had to navigate these tumultuous times.
Right.
The Depression hit Black communities particularly hard.
Yeah.
And yet Greenwood's spirit of self-reliance and community support helped it weather the storm. During World War II, many residents contributed to the war effort, serving in the armed forces or working in defense industries.
Wow.
The post-war era brought new opportunities, but also new challenges. As the civil rights movement gained momentum and the nation grappled with the legacy of segregation.
It's a complex and layered history.
Yeah.
It feels like there are so many stories within the story of Greenwood, each one worthy of exploration.
Right.
But our sources also hint at a darker turn in the 1960s.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier that there were efforts to seize land in Greenwood after the massacre. Did those efforts resurface in later decades?
Sadly, yes.
Oh, no.
As the civil rights movement challenged the status quo, there was a backlash in many cities, including Tulsa. Urban renewal programs, often presented as a way to revitalize blighted neighborhoods, were implemented in ways that often displaced Black residents and destroyed historic structures.
Oh, wow.
Greenwood became a target of these policies.
It's a tragic irony, isn't it?
It is.
A community that had rebuilt itself from the ashes of a racist attack was now facing a different kind of destruction.
Yes.
This time sanctioned by the government. It's almost as if history was repeating itself, but in a more insidious form.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
The destruction of Greenwood in the 1960s wasn't the result of a mob,
Right.
but rather of policies that were often framed as progressive.
Wow.
But in reality, they were often used to displace Black communities and to disrupt their economic and social networks.
Can you give us some specific examples of how these urban renewal policies impacted Greenwood?
Sure.
What did this destruction look like on the ground?
One of the most devastating blows was the construction of a highway
Okay.
that cut right through the heart of Greenwood in 1967.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a community that had painstakingly rebuilt itself brick by brick, only to be bisected by a concrete monstrosity.
Gosh.
This project displaced countless families and businesses.
Wow.
Even the Goodwin family, whose newspaper, the Oklahoma Eagle, had been a voice for the community since 1910,
Right.
saw their office demolished to make way for the highway.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a symbolic act of erasure.
It's heartbreaking to think of how a community that had already endured so much was once again being torn apart this time by policies that were supposed to improve their lives.
I know.
It speaks to the systemic nature of racism and the ways in which it can manifest in both overt and subtle forms.
The impact of these policies was profound.
Yeah.
They disrupted the social fabric of Greenwood, displacing residents,
Right.
fracturing businesses, and undermining the sense of community that had been so carefully nurtured.
So what became of Greenwood after this period of urban renewal?
Okay.
What did this community, which had already endured so much, look like as the 20th century drew to a close?
Greenwood entered a period of decline.
Okay.
Many residents had been displaced, businesses had closed,
Yeah.
and the once vibrant district had lost much of its vitality.
Wow.
But even in the face of these challenges, the spirit of Greenwood endured.
Yeah.
There were those who refused to let their history be forgotten,
Right.
who continued to fight for recognition and justice, and their efforts would eventually pave the way for a renewed focus on Greenwood's legacy in the 21st century.
It's a testament to the enduring power of hope and the refusal to let tragedy have the final word.
Yeah.
So as we move into the present day, what does Greenwood look like now?
Okay.
What is the current state of this community that has experienced so much destruction and resilience?
Greenwood today is a place of contradictions, a blend of past and present loss and renewal. You see signs of revitalization, new businesses, modern buildings. But there are also those vacant lots, the whispers of what once stood a constant reminder of the community's resilience and the forces that sought to erase it.
It's a palimpsest, isn't it?
Oh.
Layers of history etched onto the landscape, some visible, some hidden, all contributing to the complex tapestry of Greenwood today.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a renewed focus on Greenwood's legacy in the 21st century. What's driving that?
There's been a growing awareness, both locally and nationally, of the need to acknowledge the Tulsa race massacre and its lasting impact. It's no longer a hidden history. Documentaries, books, and even recent television shows have brought Greenwood's story to a wider audience, sparking conversations about race justice and the legacy of systemic racism.
It's like the nation is finally waking up to a truth that was buried for far too long. And that awareness has led to a push for not just remembrance, but also reconciliation, right?
Exactly. There's been a concerted effort to uncover the truth about the massacre, to locate mass graves, and to provide reparations to survivors and their descendants. This is not just about righting past wrongs, it's about acknowledging the ongoing impact of this tragedy on the community and taking concrete steps to address those harms.
Our sources mention the Greenwood Cultural Center, which seems to play a vital role in preserving the community's history and educating the public about the massacre.
The Greenwood Cultural Center is a powerful testament to the community's determination to keep its history alive. It's a place where visitors can learn about Greenwood's vibrant past, the horrors of the massacre, and the ongoing struggle for justice. But there's also a focus on the future, on celebrating the resilience of Greenwood and showcasing the contributions of Black entrepreneurs and artists.
It's a space for both remembrance and renewal, a way of ensuring that the past is not forgotten, but also that it doesn't define the future. It makes me wonder, though, what are the biggest challenges facing Greenwood today? Is it simply a matter of preserving the past, or are there contemporary issues that threaten the community's well-being?
That's a great question. Well, remembering and honoring the past is crucial. Greenwood is also grappling with contemporary issues that threaten its cultural fabric. Gentrification is a major concern. As Tulsa's downtown area expands, Greenwood is becoming increasingly desirable to developers, leading to rising property values and the displacement of longtime residents and businesses.
It's a familiar story, isn't it? The very forces that led to the destruction of Greenwood a century ago are in a different form, threatening its existence once again.
And that's the challenge, finding ways to balance economic development with historical preservation and community empowerment. How do you create opportunities for growth without displacing the very people who have kept the spirit of Greenwood alive?
It's a delicate balancing act, and there are no easy answers. But it sounds like there are people working hard to find solutions to ensure that Greenwood's future is shaped by its residents, not just by outside forces.
Absolutely. There are grassroots organizations, community leaders, and activists who are working tirelessly to address these challenges. They're fighting for affordable housing, supporting Black-owned businesses, and advocating for policies that prioritize community needs. They're working to create a future for Greenwood that honors its past while also embracing new possibilities.
It's inspiring to hear about these efforts. It speaks to that same spirit of resilience that we've been talking about, the refusal to give up, that determination to create a better future. It makes me think about that quote you mentioned earlier from J.B. Hughes, the principal who lost everything in the massacre. I'm going to hold what I have until I get what I lost. That feels like the motto of Greenwood, doesn't it?
It perfectly encapsulates the spirit of Greenwood. They held on to their land, they held on to their history, and they held on to their hope. And in doing so, they created a legacy that continues to inspire us today.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the rise of Greenwood, its vibrant culture, the devastating impact of the massacre, the community's remarkable resilience, and the challenges it faces today. It's a story that's both heartbreaking and inspiring, a reminder of the deep scars of racial injustice, but also the enduring power of the human spirit.
And it's a story that's still being written. Greenwood's future is yet to be determined, but one thing is certain. The community's legacy of resilience, innovation, and unwavering hope will continue to shape its path.
As we conclude this deep dive into the history of Greenwood, I'm left with a profound sense of admiration for this community and its enduring spirit. Their story challenges us to confront the injustices of the past, to work towards a more equitable future, and to never forget the power of community.
Greenwood's story is a powerful reminder that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, hope endures. And it's a call to action for all of us to work towards creating a world where communities like Greenwood can thrive without fear of violence or erasure.
So what can our listeners do to learn more and to get involved?
There are so many ways to engage with Greenwood's story. Visit the Greenwood Cultural Center, explore the resources available online, read books like Built from the Fire by Victor Luckerson, or support organizations that are working to preserve Greenwood's legacy and to address the ongoing challenges facing the community. But most importantly, share this history. Talk about it with your friends, family, and colleagues. The more we understand the past, the better equipped we are to create a more just and equitable future.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the history of Greenwood. We hope this conversation has sparked your curiosity, ignited your passion for justice, and inspired you to get involved in creating a better world. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep the spirit of Greenwood alive.